Hi, this is Lisa Schmid with the Stamper Studio. Welcome to Wonder Wednesday. So tonight is a time when you can ask a question or have previously asked a question about how do you use that tool or how do you do that technique, and I will show you. So tonight I am naming it Watercolor Magic because it really is magical when you watch the colors just explode. So I have a couple different ways to show you how we're going to watercolor. Now there's probably a million ways that people watercolor, but these are just a few of the ones that I have found that are kind of fun. So here's one that I made using a background. Isn't that so pretty? That background, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I just used I don't remember the name of these dies. I thought it was Quiet Meadow dies? The Quiet Meadow dies, and die cut it out so that I can, here it is right here. Yeah, it is Quiet Meadow. So I use these Quiet Meadow dies in black just to make it really show up. So, all right, I'm going to show you how to do that. That's the first one, and I'm going to use watercolor paper. My stack of paper is right here. I'm going to grab it. Sorry about that. My paper is here. I don't know why. It's not over where I need it. Okay, so my watercolor paper. And watercolor paper, Dave's going to look it up for you, but it comes in a couple different sizes, 5 by 7. And then I think he's going to look up and see how many sheets you get. So we're going to go ahead and watercolor this, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Oh, here's my paper. Like, I have lots of paper. So, all right, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to use these colors right here. So the way we're going to watercolor is I'm going to take a block, a little block, and I'm really just in here is water. I tried it with alcohol, and I think it dries too fast. So I don't think that's what we want. And I'm going to use the polished pink and the fresh freesia. And on this one, I'm actually going to try a little bit of the Mango Melody. Here I use Pale Papaya, but I thought, what would it look like if we had a little bit brighter yellow? So what I'm going to do is spritz my paper. Watercolor paper is made to get wet, really wet. And I'm just going to run my block wherever I want that pink. Then I'm going to dry it off. So I want to have a little napkin here. Let's go to the yellow next. And just, oh, look at that. Isn't that so fun? Got a little streak up there. And then I'm going to go to the, fresh freesia. As long as you have enough water on your paper, it will just go crazy. Now I'm going to put this on top of it because I don't want my yellow and my fresh freesia. Oh, I picked up kind of a lot. I'm going to add a little more here because I do want a little more of that purple color on the bottom. And you can just let it dry like this. But this is a great way to get lots of color on here.
Okay, a couple quick things. One, Barb, how exciting your order came.
Woo! That's like exciting.
Christmas in May.
Yeah.
And I put in the chat the watercolor paper. And the thing that you might not notice right away, because when I first glanced at the page, I'm like, where is it? It's because it's called Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And so I put the number in there, and you get 10 5x7 sheets.
Nice. 10 5x7 sheets. Okay, so there it is, and I would just let that dry. Before it had kind of a lot of water on it, so I was taking it off, but if I put that napkin there, it's going to pull off all the color, and I don't want that. So you just set that aside and let it dry, and I just thought that was so pretty. Isn't that really pretty? Okay, so that's with the watercolor paper. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Another thing we can do is we can use our watercolor paper again, but we can stamp it first. So here's my watercolor paper, and I am going to stamp it using my Quiet Meadow stamp. So it's right here. So here's the stamp set, Quiet Meadow. It's got that cool background, and those polka dots would be kind of fun too, but I'm going to use this stamp right here. And I'm going to stamp it in StazOn. Now, StazOn is an ink that it is not going to bleed. It's not going to run, and so that's a perfect one for getting wet. Okay, so I'm going to stamp it first. There we go. And then I am going to, I could do the same thing with the block, but I'm going to show you another way. So I'm going to take my block, but I'm not going to, I'm actually going to color right on the block. And I see it's got some pink. That's okay. It can have some pink on it. We'll do this one pink. I want the bottom here to be green. So I'm just going to color green on here. And I want the top to be polished pink. So I'm going to color that up here. Okay, I tried it with the alcohol markers. It doesn't really work so well. Now I can either spray this on here or I can spray it on here. Either one, it doesn't matter. I'm going to spray my paper. I think I'm going to spray both. There we go. And I kind of want, oops, I need a little more pink. That's okay, we'll add that in a second. I'm going to add a little more green. I'm going to dry this off. Dave's like, they're going to have a lot of green. Really what I want is, sorry, it's because I didn't have exactly what I wanted, but that's okay. What I really wanted, I want the green over there that has the ink. And I'll show you with the polished pink. So I sprayed the paper, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to squeeze this together, and I'm going to pick up the ink right here. Or if you have the ink refill, you can just drop it in there. So, and I can just watercolor. That's okay. I see it right there. It's under, I see it under that paper. All right, any green will do, Dave. So I'm just going to get this kind of pinky up here, but see how the stays on is not bleeding. Thanks. Oh, dear one. All right, so there we go with that. And then I'm going to put this soft succulent, and this one I did drop some ink in the bottom with the ink refill. The pads are kind of hard to squeeze together, so sometimes we have to put some ink in. I'm going to make sure this is all cleaned off and grab some of that. Now I don't want it that dark, so I'm going to squeeze some water in here because I want it to be much lighter. There we go. And
Hi, Deborah.
Just going to color. Hey, I'm going to color the bottom here and get a little bit of kind of green going. If I wanted to, I could probably really try to be artsy fartsy. I don't really do that so well. So let me show you what I made similar to what I just did. And I did color it right on the watercolor. So here's what I made. Isn't that pretty? I think it's really pretty. I did the pale papaya and the soft succulent. This one I did the pink instead. I think it's really, you just have to let it dry. That's the thing, just let it dry. All right, I want to try two more these, and people always say for watercoloring, you can use the shimmery white cardstock. So we are going to try, these are both shimmery white cardstock. So going out a little bit on the limb here because I'm pretty sure it worked, but I'm not 100% sure. So Dave's shaking his head. I'm going to do it all in blues. I find that a darker color works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and scribble on here. Do a couple different blues. And I've seen people do it, and I'm like, So that's all right. We'll give it a try, right? Oh, that's a good blue. I can see that. And then I'm going to spritz my block. Ooh, see how it's blending already? Perfect. And I'm going to stamp on here. Okay. And then you just let it dry. You could stamp again, move it around. See, that's the thing, is you have to let it dry before you can see the full effect. Otherwise, I'm pulling off the ink. That's pretty, though. Dave was shaking his head. He's like, it is pretty. And so this is on the shimmery white cardstock. So that is another way we can do it.
And you get 10 sheets of 8.5 by 11, and I put the number in the chat.
Nice. Shimmery white cardstock. The watercolor paper is much thicker. The shimmery white is less expensive. I don't know. The shimmery white comes in 12 by 12, whereas this comes in
8.5 by 11.
Oh, 8.5 by 11. Okay, 8.5 by 11 for the shimmery white.
And 5 by 7.
5 by 7 for the watercolor paper. So, there was one. See, look how pretty this first one we did. Now it's like ready to be, almost ready. It's still a little damp to be stamped on. The other thing you could do is you could stamp a flower. I'm going to use
Hi, Sandy.
I'm going to go back to using that shimmery white just to try it out. And you could stamp I'm going to use Stays On, of course, because I do not want all my colors to run. Or I do not want the black to run. Okay, so there is that. This is from Hand Penned. And I'm going to color again with these watercolor, or excuse me, with the Stampin' Write markers. I don't want to use the Stampin' Blends because I'm going to spritz this, and we're all going to say, ooh, ah, see what, see what happens. I'm kind of being a little bit crazy here with it. We could spritz it, or the other thing we could do is we could use our watercolor pens. That's these right here, watercolor painters. And these come in 3 different sizes. So we've got a small, a medium, and a large. The one thing that's kind of funky about these is you unscrew, you know, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It doesn't work with these. You have to turn it left to unscrew it. I don't know, maybe it was made in another country, but I'm not sure where it was made. All right, I'm going to color these with the Pale Papaya. And if not, it's just really pretty anyway, right? So, you know, we got to try. I tried a bunch of things, but I didn't get to try everything. I'm like, well, let's just give it a try. Can't hurt, right? That's how we learn. That's how we experiment. Remember, I tell my students, you actually learn more when you make a mistake. Okay, I'm going to spritz it right on here. And see, yep, it's starting to blend. Do you see that? It definitely is getting, I'm going to use my little brush here. So the colors are definitely kind of getting watercolory, even going outside the lines there. I'm going to pick that up so you can see it. Okay, I think it's really pretty. It gives it a different look.
Definitely.
And when in doubt, add more water. And then just have a little napkin by the side so you can wipe up the ones if you have too much that you don't want. But I think that's really pretty. What do you guys think? I like it. See, I took a risk and it worked. So, I think that's what I have. Let me just check my list here. Yep. So those are the ways I know how to do watercolor. You can use your block and color right on here. You can stamp first, color with your Stampin' Write markers, and then it will bleed like that. Or you can use the block, the big block, and color on it, and then stamp. Either one can be wet, the block or the paper. So lots of different ways to do watercolor. One thing I know about watercolors, if you like super precise things, sometimes that's not really the technique that's going to make you excited. Because it's hard to be precise. It like bleeds. I think it looks really pretty, and it's actually, look at, that's like a peachy color down there. Can you see it?
And that's really the style of the new catalog cover.
Yes, it is. Like the whole catalog is sort of watercolory, or the cover is kind of watercolory. So hopefully you learned a way to do some watercolor, and I think you just have to know you're going to make 1 or 2 and go, that was ugly, and throw it away, and that's okay. That's okay. I did the same thing, but then you come with some that you're like, wow, that came out. I'm really excited about this one. I was like, that came out really pretty. So those are some techniques for you. Are you missing us in the morning? Are you missing us at 7 a.m. every morning? Yeah, well, we're missing being there. Oh, shoot, I had one more thing. One more, last thing. I forgot, I had one more thing. We have linen paper, friends. This linen paper, I mean, Dave and I were looking at this the other day, and then we saw that it's adhesive, self-adhesive. We're like, oh, that's a game changer, that it's self-adhesive. So I die cut out a little, I die cut out a little linen flower. It's already peeling off. Oh, here. I'm like, oh, it's not sticky. Well, that's because that's the, but you could actually use this for something. I mean, that's a pretty, you totally could. Dave's shaking his head. No, I think you could. It's a pretty thick little piece there. So I'm going to put this on some Blackberry Bliss and just see if we can color it. I was kind of curious if we can color the linen. But it's great that it comes right out like that. Okay, I'm going to use pinks, and I want to use my watercolor. I need lots of water here. There we go. And I do think I will. I'm not done yet. Dave's giving it a I'm like, give me a second. You need to, if I pick up the water, pick up the ink rather, I think I can color it in a color. So there you go. Okay, ladies, Dave.
Ooh, ah.
Dave's giving me a lot of grief here, but I just thought, oh, the linen, it's fabric. I'm sure you can color it. So, and look at that, you can.
The blender brushes would work well too.
The blender pens.
No, brushes.
Blender brushes. That's what I'm using.
No.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yes, the blending brushes would work well also. And I'm even just going to see, can we just color this and then put water on it? You know, we're just going all out tonight and see what we can do here. Might just want to leave it white. I don't know. Let's try it. Kind of blend it in. All right, so no on that one, but yes on the, if you pick up the color, you could actually do it. So I'm going to do that because I'm not going to leave it like half done like that. I'm going to pick up my color. And water dries, so I'm not worried about this part.
All right. Is it just me, or is getting your card wet just sort of counterintuitive? I mean, usually I'm trying to keep my cards dry, keep it nice and neat. So making it wet is just a little bit hard for me.
It's dry now. I think it's pretty, and I think it could be used for something. But that linen paper is kind of fun because it's self-adhesive. So those are what I have for you. I'm still coming back to this one I just love. Yeah, these are fun, and this I can just stamp on this one now with something, make it pretty. All right, friends, that's what we have for you today, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Like I said, we will be on location. We are camping, so we'll bring our stuff with you and just do it wherever we are. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. So I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, happy stamping.